There's so much confusion around diet. For instance, you know, you don't eat meat. Some of these people eat meat. The plant paradox, and then the whole food plant-based diet. Shine some light on how you navigate that confusion with your audience and your followers and the people that.
Right. So I aggregate science, and if you want to know what
everybody claims they aggregate the science, but then they all
you're
say
right.
different
You're right.
things.
Yeah, you can support any point of view with some scientific paper, but I've gone a step. It's harder to support a fringe belief with a meta-analysis. So a meta-analysis is a lot of scientific studies that are kind of averaged out around a topic. So my approach, I'm interested in a diet that will get you to a healthy age 100. And if you want to know what a 100-year-old ate to live to be 100, you have to know what she was eating as a little girl. Chocolate pancakes. And
we're not starting off well in this household.
You have to know what she ate at middle age and newly retired and lately. You can't just ask a centenarian, what do you eat? Because they don't remember. If I asked you, what did you have for dinner a week ago Tuesday? Could you tell me?
Oh, God. No.
Most people can't. So how can you ask a centenarian, what did you eat to live to be 100? They don't know. But universities and governments have done, over the past 80, 90 years, in all 5 blue zones, dietary surveys where they're done in a range of ways, but the least strong ones just ask people to self-report what they've eaten over a 2-week period, and they can remember pretty well, at least the last 48 or 36 hours. The better ones, they actually put a researcher who goes and lives in people's houses and watches exactly what they eat and weighs it. In fact, the Mediterranean diet, that's how rigorous the Mediterranean diet was recorded. But I worked with Harvard, a scientist named Walter Willett, and we aggregated 155 dietary surveys done in all 5 blue zones over the last 90 years. And when you average it out, it's very clear. And all 5 blue zones, the trend is the same. They're eating mostly whole food, plant-based. I mentioned before, meat 5 times a month, but the 5 pillars of every longevity diet in the world are whole grains, corn, rice, and wheat, a staple in all. And by the way, I know we tend to malign rice, but the 15 countries with the highest healthy life expectancy all eat white rice every day. So go figure. A second component is greens or garden vegetables. A third component is tubers, potatoes and sweet potatoes especially. In Okinawa, 70% of their calories came from purple sweet potatoes until 1980 or something. Nuts, a handful of nuts a day actually is associated with 2 extra years of life expectancy. And the cornerstone of every longevity diet in the world is beans. So they're getting protein not from beef, not from chicken or pork or some, soy isolate that they put in their smoothie. They're eating a cup of beans a day. So when I sort of promote a Blue Zones diet, I'm just saying, well, here's what the longest lived people ate their whole life. They didn't develop cardiovascular disease or 40% cancers or dementia. You might want to think about it too.
Mm-hmm. And to go levels deeper, it's probably they're not, some of these are poorer cultures, so they're not eating a ton of food. So they're like the actual, like in America, we're burdening our system with a bunch of crap and it's too much food. And so I don't know if you could speak to like fasting windows or just because they just eat less because they eat, till they're hungry. They don't have an excess amount of things and they eat local, what's available locally and what's in season. Like it's just like the natural way of eating.
I call it a peasant diet. You're right. These are all fairly poor people. And the foods they can afford are, kind of the things you find at the bottom of the grocery shelves for $2 a pound. They're very cheap things, but they know how to make them delicious. Their genius comes not in how, some food scientist formulates a Dorito. Their genius comes in how they take these very simple peasant foods and combine them and add certain herbs and spices, and how they cook them and bake them and make them taste delicious. So they look forward to eating the way we do. And they have every bit the appetite we do. If you put food in front of them, they'd eat the same stuff we do. It just so happens in their environment, the cheapest, most accessible, and most delicious food is this food that has kind of evolved over the millennia to use local ingredients to taste really good. They're not making choices as much as they're doing what their grandmother's doing. And the reason they're not overeating, part of it, you're right, they don't always have an abundance of calories, but their food is nutritionally dense and calorically light. So, you go to you have an Okinawa stir fry. They call it goya champuru, and it's like this glistening, delicious compost pile of food. It's tofu and these root fat, and it's delicious. And you just eat, and you're just smiling and happy, and your stomach's getting full, and you can't believe you're eating all this food. And you walk away from the table and you've consumed fewer calories than a small hamburger, and 50 times the nutrients. And that's the secret. The secret's not starving ourselves or depriving ourselves. It's getting these foods that are calorically rich, nutrient rich, calorically light, and satiating.